Hi, Emerson here with the Westfield Church of Christ. We've got 3 small kids at home that all love the Frozen movies, and we recently bought the soundtrack for the new Frozen 2 movie. And there's a song called Some Things Never Change on that soundtrack that my kids have been singing, and that phrase has been on my mind. Indeed, some things never change, never have, and never will. In this week's videos, I'd like to share with you 5 unchanging truths. And the first one is simple. God is in control. It may sound strange to start that way because so much seems out of control right now with the coronavirus. We can take precautions, and scientists are working very hard to find medicines that can help prevent and maybe even cure the disease. But really, how much of that can we control? It's a scary thing to not be in control, isn't it? We're not used to this. We are used to controlling our environment. And so when the feeling of control is taken away, we're left feeling very disoriented and frightened. But that's because we have a very nearsighted and human perspective. What's God's perspective? In Isaiah chapter 40, in verse 12, it says, "Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or marked off the heavens with the span of his hand? Who has gathered the dust of the earth in a measure, or weighed the mountains on a balance and the hills on the scales?" Verse 21, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not considered the foundations of the earth? God is enthroned above the circle of the earth." In verse 26, "Look up and see. Who created these? He brings out the stars by number. He calls all of them by name. Because of his great power and strength, not one of them is missing." The truth of Isaiah's day is the truth that we need today. God is in control. Isaiah reminds us that God created everything by his power, and he continues to sustain all things by that same power. That God measures the dust of the earth, the tiny particles, and he numbers and names all of the trillions of stars in heaven. And if that is true, then what is there that God does not know about and that God does not have power over? The same thing is true of Jesus. In Colossians 1:17, it says that he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. So what does that mean for how we live? Well, 2 things. When things feel out of our hands, remember that they're in God's. Our lives are not subject to blind fate and mindless and heartless chance, but rather there is a God in heaven who cares for you and me and who holds all things in the power of his will to accomplish his purposes, which are good and holy. That's something that you and I can rest and find comfort in. But it also reminds us that we must choose to trust in God. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 30 says, "Youths may become faint and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not faint." Maybe it's not so much a bad thing that we're not in control. Maybe this is a good reminder to us of our frail human condition and how much we need God. Indeed, now is a time for us to be praying to God for help and deliverance. Now is a time for us to be turning to him in his word for guidance, instruction, and strength. Now is a time for us to trust in the God who is in control. Consider that today, and I look forward to sharing another truth with you tomorrow.